Government is planning to provide improved seedlings, fertilizers and dedicated extension services as intense incentives to entice more Ghanaians to go into farming. The yet-to-be-launched program, dubbed Planting for Food and Jobs, was mentioned at this year's New Year's School. The Akufo-Addo administration says it will boost agricultural productivity and help address Ghana's food supply challenges.
Addressing participants at the New Year School at the University of Ghana, Minister-designate for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Osuefi Akoto, says the continuous decline in growth of agriculture requires bold initiatives to reverse the trend.
The Planting for Food and Jobs campaign is designed not only to produce food for the domestic market and for export, but equally importantly, to create the much-needed jobs for the teeming youth. The youth of this country voted massively for change because we promised them jobs. In the short term, it is only through agriculture that we can generate jobs in large numbers to put a dent in the mountain of youth unemployment and also to produce the needed raw materials to support our promise of one district, one factory.
President Akufo-Addo said his government will, within its 4-year mandate, modernize agriculture.
Agriculture continues to be the anchor of the country's economy, employing almost half of our workforce. However, in the last few years, growth in this sector has declined dramatically. Food is unnecessarily expensive in a country that is blessed with fertile land. Our production methods are not modern, and income levels of farmers and fisherfolk remain low, making this sector unattractive to the youth as a viable means of livelihood. Ladies and gentlemen, government's vision for the next 4 years is to modernize agriculture, improve production efficiency, achieve food security and profitability for our farmers, all aimed at significantly increasing agricultural productivity.
Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Ebenezer Odro-Owusu, is urging government to, as a matter of urgency, consider the deployment of information communication technology in the attempt to modernize agriculture.
Now, in President Akufo-Addo's words at the New Year School, food has now become very expensive and, in fact, no longer affordable for a lot of Ghanaians. He has therefore proposed interventions to deal with this situation. But for what goes into the pricing of food, Joy News' Jennifer Kwame has been speaking with some vendors and market women.
Food security is an issue that is of high concern to every Ghanaian. Little wonder, then, that during his address on the first day of the New Year School at the University of Ghana, Legon, President Akufo-Addo pointed out that the high cost of foodstuffs is one problem that needs to be resolved as quickly as possible. The president is not alone in this sentiment. Food vendors and market women agree and shared with Joy News how these prices are affecting their business. Abraham Kofi Akolache is one of the managers of popular eatery Odo Rice.
Sometimes things go higher, but it's you, the way you manage the company. The things you know that is higher, we don't buy it in large quantity. Instead, tomatoes, onion, pepper, garden eggs, okra. Instead of you buying it in a week, you buy it 3 days so that it will be fresh, so that some will not go spoil. You throw some away.
How much do you spend on your tomatoes, your onion, garden egg?
It depends on the market prices. Sometimes we get it lesser, sometimes we get it higher. So if you have to buy 4 and the price is 300 cedis, 4 boxes of tomatoes, and one is 300, and the reduces come to 150, and one is 150. One is 150 per box. This year is just January. This year things have been tough for us just the beginning, because January onion, tomatoes go higher on January, especially onion, tomatoes, pepper go higher on January. March, April, May, it comes down. So we know that general things will go higher, but with our management team, we decide to maintain our prices and everything like that. We know that up to February, March, things will come down. So we are still maintaining our prices.
We also spoke to an onion trader who shared with us how the fluctuating currency, as well as the long journeys undertaken by onion traders, results in the high prices of onions on the market.
A bag of onion costs 300 Ghana cedis. There's a variety that is imported from Boku, which is no longer in season. Right now, the Niger variety is in high demand by restaurant owners. We also have varieties from Libya and Holland on the market. This year, the prices are better. Last year, a bag of onion was selling at 500 Ghana cedis and sometimes 400 Ghana cedis. Other times, too, you'll get it at 550 Ghana cedis or even as high as 600 Ghana cedis. But this year, by God's grace, onions are in large supply, and so the price has dropped to between 320 Ghana cedis and 300 Ghana cedis. I think the price went up because of the distance involved before the onions arrive in Accra. It can take between 4 and 5 days, and the CFA to cedi currency conversion could also be a factor.
For Joy News, Jennifer Ikwamwa.
Now, the Electoral Commission will this Friday, January 20, open nominations for those seeking to represent their regions on the Council of State. The advisory body is required to be in place so it can advise the president on appointment to some key positions of authority and some heads of state. A release by the Electoral Commission says it will begin accepting nominations from Friday 20 January to Thursday 26 January 2017 from 8 a.m. to 12 noon and 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. each day. And it goes on to say these candidates shall be nominated on nomination forms which are available for pickup at the regional offices of the Commission from Tuesday 17 January 2017 to Thursday 19 January 2017. The nomination forms shall be completed and delivered in triplicate by the candidate or his proposer to the regional directors of the Commission before or on the aforementioned date and time stated for the receipt of nominations. The nomination paper shall be witnessed by the signature or thumbprint of 2 registered voters as proposer and seconder, and supported by 20 registered voters in the region as assenting to the nominations. Now, it goes on to say who qualifies to stand for election to the Council of State. It says to be eligible for election to the Council of State, a prospective candidate must A, be a citizen of Ghana, B, of sound mind, be a registered voter, and be a resident or hail from the region which he or she seeks to represent. It says a person shall not be qualified to be elected as a regional representative to the Council of State if he or she has been adjudged or otherwise declared bankrupt under any law in force in Ghana and has not been discharged. He or she has been convicted for high crime under the Constitution or high treason or for an offense involving the security of the state, fraud, dishonesty, or moral turpitude, or for any other offense punishable by death or by a sentence of not less than 10 years. And then says he or she has been found by the report of a commission or a committee of inquiry to be incompetent to hold public office, or is a person in respect of whom a commission or a committee of inquiry has found out that while being in public office, he acquired assets unlawfully or defrauded the state or misused his office or acted in a manner prejudicial to the interests of the state, and the findings have not been set aside on appeal or judicial review. And the last 2 says he or she is under the sentence of death or other sentence of imprisonment imposed on them by any court, or is a member of the Electoral College constituted for the election of the members of the Council of State. But it goes on in the very first paragraph to indicate that the election will be held The election to the Council of State will actually be held on Thursday, 9th February 2017 at venues to be determined by the Commission in the regional capitals. In other news, 2 police officers, Daniel Omar and Isaac Kuma, are in custody after a failed attempt to rob a small-scale mining site in the central region. 2 others are also in the grips of the Dunkwa District Police Command following the incident in the Upper Dintra East constituency in Chitre near Dunkwafeng. The suspects had their faces bloodied and swollen after severe beatings at the hands of angry workers at the mining site. According to reports, the police suspects who are stationed at the Kotokraba District Police Command in Cape Coast traveled to Dunkwafeng for the operation. The policemen said to have been armed with AK-47s were overpowered by some night security personnel at the mine site. They confessed during interrogation that they were serving as escorts to the robbers who claimed they were gold dealers.
Wait, or say, or better go into Bejano. Now, what sign where you are? What sign need to uniform? What sign? What point you the coffee and answer? Oh, mommy, please. Oh, I'm sorry.
You're watching Journey's Prime. Still to come in the bulletin. Rich Ashanti culture on display in Kumasi as funeral rites of late Queen Mother Nana Ifiasewa Kobe and Pim get underway. We'll be back with all that and more. Stay tuned. At least 1 person is dead and several others injured in an accident at Akochi Junction on the Cape Coast Winneba-Accra Highway. According to the police, the accident was caused by the Toyota minibus after an unsuccessful overtaking of a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter bus. About 30 persons were injured, with most of the victims sent to the Trauma and Accident Center at Winneba. The Central Regional National Road Safety Coordinator, Stephen Anoche, has been speaking with correspondent Richard Kojonyako about what is being done to curb accidents on that route.
Yeah, the challenges are mainly 2 specifically. I want to talk about the high incidence of overspeeding, if you like, excessive speed that we have been experiencing on the road, and it cuts across passenger buses, the commercial vehicles, and even the private vehicles. They are even more serious, and I think that is one of the major problems that we face. Reckless driving, unnecessary overtaking, and sometimes pedestrians using the road without due care. They don't take care as to how they cross the road, where they are crossing, and they do it anyhow, and they get knocked down. And these are some of the challenges the main challenges that we face on this road. Drivers doing, unnecessary overtaking and failing to adhere to speed limits on the road. And that is the main challenges that we have here.
So how have you diagnosed it, and how do you intend solving this problem? Because it appears that every other week there is an accident. Anytime that we hear of an accident in a central region, that particular stretch of road would not be ruled out.
Yeah, we did our diagnosis with the help of our engineers. If you take a look at the road now, especially in some of the towns, you realize that of late we are putting in some speed control measures, okay, like speed tables that will automatically stop drivers from overspeeding. Normally, these things are not allowed on the main highway that we have on this road, but because of the drivers' intransigence, we don't have any other reason but to do this intervention, and that's the measures that we are taking now to ensure, and also ensure that the police are present on the road to deter drivers from overspeeding. And we are able to get these drivers, arrest some of them, and prosecute them. In that case, I think we can get somewhere with this problem. And also, I believe at this point, looking at the type of vehicles that are getting involved in the accidents on this road, the Sprinter buses come to mind. They are the number one buses that are having these accidents on the road, and we believe.
The Upper West region recorded an increase in the number of persons seriously injured through road accidents in the last quarter of 2016 as compared to that of 2015. The statistics indicate whilst 54 persons sustained serious injuries in recorded accidents in the last quarter of 2015, the number in the same period for 2016 was as high as 82. There was, however, a decrease in the number of persons killed from 12 to 9. Upper West Region Manager of the National Road Safety Commission, Mohammed Abdul Samad, revealed this at a news conference in Wa.
In pursuing its core mandate of educating the general public to promote road safety, the National Road Safety Commission in the Upper West Region conducts a quarterly press briefing to update the media and the general public on programs and activities being implemented to help reduce road traffic crashes among all categories of road users. Upper West Regional Manager of the National Road Safety Commission, Mohammed Abdul Samad, noted that there have been significant decrease in all categories of road crashes in the fourth quarter of 2016, except persons injured.
Minor cases, we recorded 8 in the 2015 last quarter. Then 2016, it came down to 7, a reduction of 1.3%. Then the number of persons killed, it was 12 in 2015. In 2016 last quarter, it came down to 9. That is a reduction of 33.3 percentage points. Then the total number of persons injured, then we had 54 recorded in 2015. Then in 2016, it went up to 82. That is the only place that we recorded a high figure. In percentage terms, that is 51.9%. Despite the fact that we recorded few crashes, it means that the severity of the crashes were actually high.
Mr. Mohammed attributed the decrease to the vigorous campaigns embarked on by the Commission and urged the public to work assiduously to increase advocacy for best road safety practices in order to reduce carnage on the road.
We had intensive campaign during the Yuletide to minimize the occurrences of road traffic crashes that often characterize the festive season. Activities undertaken include education on radio, visits to mosques, engagement with transport operators, outreaches to transport terminals, etc. And then the churches will actually make good use of them by sending road safety materials if we do not go, but we make sure that we are in good terms with pastors, malams, and whatnot. They do this work for us sometimes on Fridays, that is if it's at the mosque, on Sundays at the churches. I think that all help with this kind of things we're doing.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Hundreds, possibly thousands of Ghanaian women may have been exposed to 2 drugs used in causing abortion on the blind side of Ghana's Food and Drugs Authority. Without the certification of the authority, the drugs misoprostol and mifeprostol are deemed to have endangered the lives of all the women who administered the medication. The expose is a result of Joy News' investigations into the unauthorized importation of a shipment of about 90,000 packets with the assistance of Nigerian and Swiss drug dealers. Joy News' Kwete Nate has more in the following report.
Document intercepted by Joy News reveal the unregistered abortion drugs misoprostol and mifeprostol were used by the family planning clinic run by DKT International. A waybill dated 19th July 2016 reveals the clinic used 500 pieces of mifeprostol and 2,000 pieces of misoprostol. Another document we have indicates that on 10th August 2016, The clinic used 500 pieces of miso and 500 pieces of mife.
The fast-moving ones for abortions and Viagra are being channeled through Nigeria through another foreigner who is spearheading all these transactions. So it comes through a back door.
Belinda Agri, as we choose to call her, is one of the former staff of DKT who witnessed how large quantities of unregistered abortion drugs were brought into the country by the company. The drugs were supplied by Swiss-based fake drugs dealer Daniel Ward Vogel. The drugs were expected to sell alongside FDA-approved abortion drug Medabon, which DKT International originally distributes in Ghana.
They bring in the regulated drugs or the approved drugs from the authorities through the main channels. But the illegal drugs, that's where the chunk of the money is.
Our checks also reveal that the unregistered abortion drugs do not have labels and expiry dates. A DKT Logistics report dated July 2016 shows midwives at the Lydia Care Center, a facility run by DKT International, had used the two drugs extensively to abort various pregnancies. This is happening when officials of the company do not even know the manufacturing date and shelf life of the drugs. The document intercepted by Joy News reads in part,
"These drugs at the warehouse do not have labels and expiry date, even though their efficacy has been tested by the midwife and proved to be effective. I could guess by the shelf life it will be 2 years, as other ones on the market. We, however, do not know the manufacturing date."
That means officials do not know for how long misoprostol and mifeprostol will remain safe for use. In the document we cited, DKT decided to donate the unregistered drugs to family planning clinics. It is a known fact that organizations which donate such abortion drugs do so to enable them secure funding from donors. The document said in part,
"Since the product is not registered and packaged to meet marketing requirement, we can donate to notable family planning private hospitals at a cost so as to obtain CYP. We can also issue to our Lydia Care to be administered internally, also to obtain CYP. With these suggestions, we can now monitor adverse and resolve them accordingly."
CYP stands for Couple of Years of Protection. It is a measure of protection from pregnancy provided by contraceptive methods during 1 year period. But in practical terms, the CYP stands for the number of abortions conducted by the organization. Joy News sources at the family planning giant revealed unregistered abortion drugs were shipped from India to Nigeria by Daniel Ward Vogel. In the original packaging, the quantity brought to Nigeria could fill 3 40-footer containers. However, the powdery drugs were poured into small Ghana must-go bags and brought to Ghana. Amarachi Amagila, a non-governmental organization operator in Nigeria, assisted in bringing the drugs to DKT International. Country Director of DKT International, Kevin Hudson, however, tells me his organization is not engaged in importation of illegal drugs.
One thing, we did not import any illegal drugs. Okay? So just take that as a given fact, and if someone alleges that we imported these things illegally, there will be implications. So there is no question of us importing anything. So that's why I say there are nuances, there is sensationalist stuff about this, abortion drugs, etc., etc. We do not distribute any product that has not been registered and approved by the FDA.
But an internal memo intercepted by Joy News reveals that at 10:15 a.m. on 26 August 2016, a combined team of police and FDA officials confiscated the unregistered product from the director's office. For Joy News, Kwete Nate, Accra.
Meanwhile, the Food and Drugs Authority says that DKT will bear the cost of the extraction of the unregistered drugs. The head of the Drug Enforcement Department at the Food and Drugs Authority, Thomas Emejro, says this is the first time DKT has infringed the law in such a manner and did so with the help of a Nigerian company.
These particular drugs in question were not labeled, so we cannot even know which quality standards they were manufactured to. That's why we couldn't even do the full range of tests that we should have conducted, because you test according to the parameters specified in the particular standard to which the drug was manufactured. FDA law, the Public Health Act, specify a minimum of 25,000 Ghana cedi. And we look at the infringement that happened, that is, they are unregistered product, and then they were imported without authorization. So we took those two things and then we combined to charge them the 50,000. That is 25,000 each for each infringement, and that we consider punitive now. The other alternative to the administrative charge would have been for prosecution, but the experience we've had so far with prosecution is that it's so laborious, cumbersome. It takes such a long time. We even have one case pending since 2013, and the case has not gone anywhere yet since 2013. So when we have only a staff strength of 7 in the Drug Enforcement Department, for us to be taken up every day, going to court, adjourn, we think this is a better option out for us. And besides that, he's paying that 50,000 Ghana cedi. The other party is also paying the 50,000 Ghana cedi. He has not paid, but DKT has paid his already. He has been, when he comes, I believe, the time that we made the letter for the payment, he came, but the letter wasn't ready. So he left, he went back to Switzerland again, I believe, when he comes again. Then they are also going to pay for the cost of the destruction of the drugs too.
We're taking a break on Joy News Prime. We'll be back with business news. Now, thousands of mourners and sympathizers from Ghana and beyond are in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, this week to pay their respects to departed Queen Mother of the Ashantis, Nana Efia-Kobi Sewampim. The Misha Palace appears to have stopped at nothing to ensure an elaborate display of rich Ashanti culture not seen in a while.
It's been a revealing display of pure Ashanti tradition and culture as Asanteman begin a 4-day ritual to send its late Queen Mother to her ancestral village. Kumasi was awakened on Monday by the persistent firing of guns and musketry from the Menchia Palace. Thousands, mainly the various paramounties and their subjects, clad in kuntunkuni, black mourning cloth, displaying age-old traditional warcraft and regalia, queued and filed past the remains of Nana Efia-Kobi Sewampim. She lies peacefully with her skin glowing in gold powder. She's dressed in a beautiful blend of kente and black and white enyentuma hand-woven traditional cloth with several executioners by her side. Amongst the high-profile personalities who have been filing past her remains is His Excellency President Akufo-Addo and the First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo. What has wowed patrons to the event include the Ashanti warriors draped in plantain leaves, the imposing figures of the executioners, painted suit black, the traditional drumming and dancing, as you can hear in the background, the persistent firing of guns and musketry. Otumfuo said to the second came in few minutes to 2 p.m. dressed in black kuntunkuni, chewing cola, wearing a hat that sits about 5 inches tall on his head, occasionally dancing majestically with his war gun, a sign that he is in a difficult mood and a difficult situation that is comparable to a war scenario. The next 3 days to come promises to bring forth more of such pomp and pageantry of Ashanti culture and tradition, as Nana Efia-Kobi Sewampim continue to lie in state, pending burial on Thursday. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaridonko, Menchia Palace, Kumasi.
Well, day one of the final funeral rites of the Asante Hema Nana Efia Kobi-Sewampim II has ended. Few hours after the mourning and expressions of condolences ended, the ground is being prepared for day two of the following day's ceremony. Joy News' Maxwell Agogba captured the moment shortly after all the dignitaries and chiefs had departed and reports.
Day one of the final funeral rites for the Asante Hema just ended. After all the pomp and pageantry, after the resplendent display of culture, this is what this place looks like now. So that is where that is the days where the Asante Hene was positioned, was sitting together with his retinue of chiefs who came to these grounds with him. Now, if you look at the other side also, that is where members of the diplomatic corps also sat. Now, day two continues tomorrow, very early tomorrow, I must say. And as you can rightly see, these workers from Zoom Lion, other than the Youth Employment Agency, this is what they are doing, making sure that the whole place is clean by tomorrow morning. If you realize, the inner perimeter itself, we had some chiefs of Asanteman, seated. It was a beautiful display of culture today. Of course, if you go down there also, outside the inner perimeter also, we had loads of activities taking place. If you come here, there are some ground rules. If you get closer to where the Asante Hema was laid and stayed, I mean, before you go and see the body of the late Asante Hema, you'd have to take off your ornaments, you'd have to take off your necklace, you'd have to take off any jewelry at all that you have on you. Even if you have a watch on you, you'd have to take it off, signifying the moment that we find ourselves, signifying the moment the Asante man finds itself. It's a sorrowful moment, and they want to display that and show that to the rest of the world that yes, we are mourning. For a lot of the women that we met here, a lot of them were not wearing earrings today. Yes, and that's going to happen throughout till Thursday when we have the final funeral rites. I don't know if you can hear it properly though, but outside the precincts of the Mencha Palace itself, there's a concert that's happening this evening right outside. So night's life is going to be really busy. For those who do not get opportunities to come here to the main grounds of the Mencha Palace, they will definitely be having some fun outside the precincts of the palace itself. It's expected that proceedings would continue tomorrow, and it's going to be colorful and resplendent as we saw today. The pomp and pageantry is expected to be taken to another level tomorrow also, as we have members of the clergy, and then some chiefs of Asanteman would also be gracing the occasion, and then other distinguished people would also be coming here, will be converging on Asanteman once again tomorrow for day two of the final funeral rites of the Asante Hema.
Now, earlier, joining us, Maxwell Agogba spoke with Osei Bonsu Kantanka, an Ashanti historian and researcher, on some customs and traditions being observed as Asanteman mourns the departed Queen Mother. Mr. Safo Kantanka, among others, explains why all the dignitaries present at the funeral are made to take off their ornaments before going to see her corpse.
So the early Europeans described that haircut as a dancing crown.
Okay.
And for the Akan people trying to imitate dancing crown, it ended up dancing crown.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So for a lot of the women here, what really is the significance of dancing crown? Because earlier the women that I had interactions with, they tell me that, look, we believe so much in the culture, and we think that this is the best way to express how deeply sad we are about the death of the Asante Hema. What really is the significance of dancing crown?
That's the significance. One of it is that you cherish your hair era.
Okay.
So that you sacrifice what you cherish most. And the best way to sacrifice is to give out your best. The best is your hair. So you cut it down, throw it away. That means you are ready to serve.
Interesting. Well, another thing that we saw that is interesting also is the Dwadie. So what happened was that we saw a lot of women carrying detergent, soap, sponge, towels, and all of that line up, about, 20 of them line up, moving towards the Menchia Palace itself. What really is the significance of the Dwadie also?
Yeah, the Dwadie.
Okay.
Dwadie is to have a bath.
Okay.
So the things that one would use in having one's bath is what we call a Dwadie. Now these things are given as pleasant to the one who has passed on. Now, it is not everybody who sends a Dwadie to the one who has passed on. It is those who are very close, that is the king's wives. In the olden days, the king did not have only one wife. He had as many wives as possible. And all these many wives would have to present that Dwadie to the king's mother who has passed away, who has passed on.
Okay.
So that is a symbol to show that we are giving you what you cherish most. Cleanliness is what Queen mothers cherish most. So we are giving this to you to carry on with your cleanliness. We believe that you are not dead. You are going to the other world to carry on with your neatness and orderliness. So we give this to you to take it along.
Okay, so maybe if my cameraman can zoom in. So this is a dancing crown that we were talking about earlier. So this is the haircut with a black dye. One of the women that I interacted with actually said what they use is they bend a car tie, and then they use it together with shea butter. They mix it, and then they apply it to the hair. So after the haircut, then they apply it, making it look that dark. That's beautiful.
Well, we have some more sights and sounds from the funeral in Kumasi. Here's a 5-year-old girl dancing Adowa.
Indeed, those who ignore history condemn themselves not knowing the present. This kid you see over here is telling the whole world, how impressed she is with Ashanti culture. As she dances some Adowa here to the tunes we play here. She's dancing to the mesmerization of the crowd and the people gathered here.
You're watching Joy News Prime Time now for a recap of our top stories. The Akufo-Addo administration has been speaking of planting for food and jobs. A plan, it says, should significantly boost agriculture productivity in the next 4 years. Hundreds, potentially thousands of Ghanaian women may have been exposed to 2 drugs used for abortions on the blind side of Ghana's Food and Drugs Authority. 2 police officers have been busted in a failed attempt to rob a small-scale mine in the central region. In business, fuel prices have gone up again for the 2nd time this month, but the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors say the increase is justifiable. And rich Ashanti culture on display in Kumasi as funeral rites of late Queen Mother Nanefia Soa Kobiampim get underway. And other news, Max Energy, a company whose tanker was involved in an accident early hours of Monday on the Kratama motorway from Takoradi, has spent over 24,000 cedis in ensuring that the tanker is towed to safety. Deputy Director of Max Energy, Alhaji Mohammed Abubakar, says the company considered the safety of residents and pedestrians immediately the accident was reported to them. No casualty was recorded except for the tanker driver, who suffered minor injuries.
The tanker carrying over 30 tons of liquefied petroleum gas from Takoradi was to offload the content at their outlet at Ashaiman and Tema. However, driver of the vehicle lost control of the wheel some meters from the Tema end of the motorway when a Kia truck crossed the driver. The incident caused heavy vehicular traffic for most hours of Monday on both ends of the motorway. When Joy News got to the scene, personnel from both Ghana National Fire Service and Motor Traffic and Transport Units were there to ensure that residents and passers-by do not endanger their lives by getting close. An earlier attempt by the fire service to offload the gas into another tanker was abandoned due to the danger it posed to those at the scene and immediate communities. The team then reached for some crane and trucks which helped transport the content without any danger.
One of my accountants in the frame say, your truck no kolodi or Takoradi and Drano. Obano, Obedu motorway, ewo Ajekojo, Junction on Kan Ashiasi. Ntino Kreme Bias no Nakano, Eda Quine Finfi. Full load in the room. That is about 30 tons in the room. Or how the Ohabe Braba, but so far as our insurance is concerned, we don't have big deal because insurance will take cover of that.
Tamaridna MTTU Commander Chief Superintendent Odro Ameni tells Joy News that the presence of the police was crucial.
When we got here, in fact, the whole place was chaos. There was total chaos because there has been no security. There was nobody around. So, you know, the drivers, as you know, misbehaving and doing whatever they think they will do to get away from the scene. So we have to quickly call in men to come and stop that and barricade the place as to where they can get to and where they cannot get to. Because the tanker you see, there is load in it, gas. So in case we allow them to get nearer and there is an explosion, we are going to have more serious problems than we've seen before.
Meanwhile, Tamaridna Deputy Fire Commander DO1 Osafu Afum is cautioning the general public to avoid going close to any accident scene.
We want to urge all motorists that in the event of this form of accidents, they should quickly leave. One thing that we found when we got here was that as you see the tanker lying in the middle of the road, other cars were passing by, and that was a great risk to them and other passers-by. What it is that when we got here, the tanker was leaking. And if not because of our professionalism to shut down the valves, we will have recorded other calamities that we have recorded in the past.
Now, former mayor of Accra, Nunu Amatefio, says Minister Designate for Inner City and Zongo Development, Alhaji Boniface Sadiq, will need the full support of government to succeed in transforming the inner cities and Zongos. The former mayor has been reacting to the announcement by President Akufo-Addo to put a minister in charge of the government's agenda to transform specific parts of the city. In Mr. Amate's opinion, the major challenge that will confront this ministry is sanitation.
It's an extremely complex undertaking because according to UN Habitat, easily 70% of the residents of Accra live in substandard housing, in substandard areas. Now, in certain parts of the city, like in the Zongos and in the old indigenous area, it's quite obvious the degradation and the breakdown of the community and the neighborhoods. But this structural degradation goes on right across the city, even in some of our posh areas, like the airport residential area, cantonments, you will still find pockets of this. So If the ministers want to do something about substandard living conditions, it will have to be fairly comprehensive. Sanitation is always the big boogaloo. And I agree with them that in my experience with Old Fadama, sanitation was one of the big problems. The most important thing is a lack of security or tenure. Hardly anybody living in those areas own the land upon which their homes sit. They are renting very substandard houses from people who do not plow a lot of money back into the investment. There are frequent fires, and when a fire occurs, the people are evicted, the next day is back again. So the insecurity of tenure is another big problem. If this is going to work, it will need a lot of political support because it will go across several municipal assembly lines, and there will be the inevitable fight for turf, especially if people see that there are financial flows going through it. And whoever is handling this will need a lot of political support that cannot be sabotaged.
We're taking a break now. We'll be back with entertainment.